to the show. I am David Swift of the Acolyte Realty Group, and I am a licensed Georgia and Alabama realtor and your host for all things real estate. We have a great show lined up for you today. I'm going to be speaking with an individual who started out with very limited funds and became a real estate mogul. And we're going to talk about how someone like yourself can do this also. But before we get into that, let's give a shout out to my local supporters. And if you would like to have your business highlighted here on my show, reach out to me and I will get you hooked up. So if you are watching this through Facebook, I would like for you to like and share. And if you are watching this through YouTube, you know the drill. Like and subscribe. Thank you, folks. So who am I going to speak with today? Well, let me tell you. His name is Shane So, and we actually have a pretty lengthy history together. I've known him for quite some time before he became who he is now, and I'm very proud of who he has become. But he is very successful in what he has accomplished in the short amount of time that he has done so. So let me get him on here, and let's just dive into it. Hey, Shane, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, David?
I am good. It's been a minute since we've talked. So how's life been?
Life's going good. Just been busy traveling. I've been out of country a lot, Costa Rica and Mexico and just different places, just trying to do what I can now that COVID's over a little bit.
Right. Now, because you brought COVID up, and I don't want to jump right into what we got yet, but was COVID beneficial to you in from where you started to now, business-wise?
That's a big question, actually. But I think that COVID was scary, actually, in the beginning, because I wasn't sure what was going to go on. We have a lot of rentals. The government put out a memorandum, means that if people didn't pay rent, I couldn't evict them. Not that I want to evict them, but if they don't pay, some people, I was worried they were going to take advantage of not paying because I couldn't evict them. But
Right.
I actually watched a video from Grant Cardone talking how he was preparing for it. And I just kind of copy and pasted what he did. So we contacted all the tenants just like he was doing and said, hey, look, we understand what's coming on. If you want to pay, go in and pay now. We're taking care of you. We're here. And then we gave them discounts and everything just like he did. So after that happened and a few months went by and I saw that people were still paying, it felt good. As far as real estate, though, as far as buying and selling, I think a lot of other opportunities were coming, about people were scared about their properties, about having the rentals and the memorandum, hotels, multifamily, commercial, and a lot of opportunities came up, so we were able to buy them.
Right.
Yeah.
So for all the people, all my viewers that are on right now, that may not know who Shane So is, and like I know you, and we've got a good history. My daughters were able to receive their black belts. Destiny, her second degree, Serena, her first degree,
Yes.
throughout your Taekwondo schools. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your actual person, and then kind of some of the things that you like to do for fun, and then we're going to start asking a few real estate questions.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, like you said, I've done Taekwondo since I was 3 years old. So I've been doing it for many, many years. And then I started Taekwondo schools when I was 22, started real estate when I was 29, and I'm 36 now. And I guess that's as far as business-wise. I did martial arts and then real estate. Now I'm also a fund manager. So I have 2 real estate funds. And that's what we do. As far as what I do for fun, I love to travel. I love to meet new people, networking. Last week, I got to meet one-on-one with Grant Cardone. The week before that, I got to meet with Glenn Stearns. And this Tuesday, I'm meeting with Elena Cardone. So I'm just trying to network.
Wow.
To me, that's fun.
Yeah, and I that's something that I want to be able to do, because I know that in able to grow, you have to encircle yourself with people that you want to be like. If you want to be a millionaire, you need to be around millionaires. If you want to be a billionaire, you need to hang out with billionaires, because that's where you learn.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's something I definitely want to, when the opportunity is offered to me, I'm definitely going to do everything I can to be there, because there's so much that you can learn from these people. Just like you mentioned, because Grant Cardone's story. He started with a $30,000 purchase of a home, and then you look at him now.
Yeah, it's crazy. And honestly, he's just like, what you see on YouTube is what you get in person. He may be toned down a little bit, but he says the same stuff, and he tells you how it is. So I really enjoyed that.
So what do you like to do for fun? I know you said you like to travel, but obviously you're athletic because you're Taekwondo. But do you like hiking, scuba diving?
Oh yeah, so yeah, we go hiking. We've been scuba diving. If you look on my Instagram, you'll see where I've been scuba diving a lot. I tried snowboarding, wasn't great at it. I mainly crawled most of the time. I like spending time with family. My brother wants to take me fishing. I'm just not good at that either, but I enjoy it.
Right.
I don't do too many sports or anything other than martial arts, gymnastics. Like you said, traveling. I just like to learn. I'm more of a nerd, so that's the kind of I like. I have a beautiful girlfriend. She just moved here from Costa Rica, so I'd like to spend time with her, go to the movies, try new food. I like to learn languages, so I learned Spanish. Now I want to learn Korean and just other languages as well. But I'm pretty simple. Oh, and I got my pilot license, so I just bought another little plane. So I've been trying to learn how to fly that.
I saw that on your Facebook, and I was like, I don't know if he's taking pilot's lessons, or if you already have it and you purchased a plane.
Yeah. So I got my pilot license maybe 5 years ago, and my buddy Ryan Underwood trained me there in Rome, Georgia, actually. And then I bought my first little Cessna, and now I just upgraded to a little bit more high performance plane. So it's almost like relearning. So they're retraining me in it to get better in it. But yeah, that's basically, I'm pretty simple.
Yeah. So, you mentioned that you were 29, you said, when you started into real estate.
Yes, I was, I started looking at properties when I was 25, and I'd get stuff under contract and I'd cancel right before, I could not pull the trigger. And then finally, a month before I turned 30, basically I was 29. My birthday's in February. I bought my first property January, right before I turned 30. And so technically 29, 30 is when I started. Yes, sir.
So was this what was your goal when you first purchased this? Was it going to be a rental property, a fix and flip, or what was your intentions when you purchased the property?
So I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge on real estate. So my thought was just to buy, fix, and sell. So fix and flip.
Fix and flip.
So So my buddy, he's actually at Keller Williams as well. He pushed me to buy it, and honestly, I was about to cancel. We put it under contract for $45,000. I called him to cancel it. He said, "Shane, we're on the final stretch. Just do it." So I did. I finally just closed on it, and we fixed it up. And I used credit cards, honestly, to fix it up with $20,000-$30,000. And then we sold it for $129,000. We made a good $50,000-$60,000 grand. So
paid off your credit card debt.
I paid off my credit card, yes, sir, and made the money. And I was like, that wasn't bad. So I really enjoyed it. That's my beginning.
That's awesome. So, and that was when you said you're 30 when you first bought that. So now you were 36.
Yes.
So I don't want you to get all the way into it yet. But so what all do you deal with now in your business model, I guess you should say? What are you looking for, and what are your hands in? Because you said you had a couple different companies. So what all are you into?
I'm personally invested in real estate, but I also have two funds that are real estate funds. And I guess I can talk about the fund in a little bit, but basically I'm buying single family homes mainly as rentals. I don't do the fix and flip model, so I don't buy, fix, and sell. I try and buy and hold. So I'm doing single family. We have commercial, and commercial is like a broad thing. So we have storage units, we have laundromats, we have dry cleaners, we have, we have an old Sears building, we have billboards. So we kind of do a little of everything right now. And then we're also in multifamily, so we have apartment units. And now I'm trying to get into development. That's what I'm doing now. That's what I'm actively seeking and working in.
So you're talking about buying raw land and developing? Is that what you mean?
Yes. So we just got 3 acres, and we're about to build some storage units. And then I have 3 acres behind a small apartment complex that I have. We have 44 units now. 3 acres behind it. We're trying to hopefully build between another 40 to 60 more behind there. So I'm trying to get into development now.
That's awesome.
I
And
think
to go from your first $45,000 purchase to, you're getting into, I'm sure you have more than 40 units as far as apartments. So kind of give me and my viewers an idea of, the number of apartment units do you currently own? Do you have?
I don't know how many apartment units. I know the total rental doors. Let's see, we have 280.
Doors would be a better, yeah, you can say doors.
Yeah, we're let's see, 280 single family. We're probably almost close to 400 doors, I would say, right now. And hopefully we want to grow like Grant Cardone.
Oh, absolutely. Now, is this just in the Georgia area or what all
we're in Georgia.
Okay.
Right now we're in Georgia, but we are looking in Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina, and North Carolina. So kind of southeastern region is where I want to stay right now.
Main focus.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you've got commercial properties, you've got rental, and now those doors that you called it, is that you got commercial wrapped into that too, or is that
separate? No, that just where that's residential and some
residential. So what have you got currently inventory wise that you're collecting rent on for commercial properties?
Well, like how much do we bring in monthly right now?
No. You didn't got to get into that. Just how many doors? Commercial. How many commercial properties?
Ooh, we may be maybe close to 20, 18 to 20.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So that's not in storage units. Storage units, though, they're just like individual.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But as far as like buildings, like property, probably 18 or so, 20. Okay. We're still kind of new in commercial, and we're hopefully going to get into hotels. But
that would be cool as well.
Yes, sir.
So you said that you don't do the fix and flips. And you're into single family, multifamily, commercial. What about vacation rentals? Are you into that?
Not too much. There's good money in it. It's just I wouldn't like to say fool. I just haven't fooled with it too much. I have some friends that do it. They love it. They enjoy it. And I think it's a great thing. If I could get some in the beach, one in the mountains, and then not only do I make money from them, I could also.
Then you can enjoy them.
Yeah, I can enjoy them. Yes, sir.
I've thought about that. That's on my to-do list. I would like to. Yeah. I mean, my goal. I would like to own 3 condos on the Gulf somewhere.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
But you got to start with one. As we all know, you want the rent to pay the mortgage plus a little passive income, and then, like you said, be able to go and enjoy it at certain times of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that'd be just great. I mean, we have done Airbnb in the past, and it's kind of like a hit or miss. You just never know. And it's actually been kind of trailing down, honestly, most Airbnbs lately, in my experience.
Yeah, I haven't had any really interest in Airbnb, and like a lot of things because the media will blast it, and you talk about something, all of a sudden you see it on your Facebook feed all the time. So many people get involved in stuff, and the market becomes saturated really, really quickly, like the fix and flips. There's so many people in our area that are in that, which there's good money in it, but you got to make sure you got good contractors that you can rely on, and that you can get it done in a good amount of time. And like me and the guy that I do business with, we mess with the fix and flips, but it's not like stuff that you see normally that you can only make, $15,000, $20,000 on when it's all said and done. What we our target is homes that, maybe have been fire damage or storm damage, and most people don't want them, but once we put, we can pick them up for, 80,000 or less, maybe put 100, if we had to, up to 100,000 into it, and then sell them for 350.
Well, it sounds good because most of the big fix and flippers, I mean, back in the like last year, you could buy something 80% of the value, fix it and sell it, and it'd be okay. But with the way the market is and interest rates going up, I think what you're doing is perfect. Is you want to buy close to 30-40% of what the house is actually, worth, because if the interest rates go up, the prices come down, and then the costs go up. It's just to eliminate risk. I think you're buying it at a good price, especially if you only have 100, 180 into it. It's worth 300 something. That's amazing. Yeah.
Right. And those are, few and far between, almost like a needle in a haystack. And the few that we have found, and he has a cap. He's like, David, we're not going to pay no more than this. So I don't, and then obviously you're in the game, you see properties or your team sees the property. And so everybody's putting in a bid. And then the agent that's listing the property, they're going to do what's best for their client and get the best. So we haven't been able successfully to get one at the price that we want, because we set that cap, because it's like, if we exceed this, then our profit, we agree we're going to make this much. And if we get over that, then it's just a no deal.
Absolutely.
And I have found a few of them this year, but we just ain't been able to land them, because other people are like, I'll spend more. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So yeah, that's kind of, I'm a realtor in Alabama and Georgia. So, I help people buy and sell the homes, but my other business that I'm getting into and growing, we're starting out with the fix and flips, but obviously I want to get into a few short-term rentals, but obviously some other stuff that we're going to get into here shortly.
That's amazing. Great. That's awesome.
So I know a few months back, me and you, we had a lunch together and we were talking, and you were kind of going over like a lease purchase option model.
Yes.
Discussion. So for my viewers, can you kind of, there's different structures you can do, but for a basic lease option purchase, how would you structure that for somebody?
Well, of course, basically it's two different agreements. One's the lease, one's the option. So let's just say that there's a home for $100,000. It depends if you're buying and selling, of course, but basically, let's just say that there is a house for $100,000. Someone can pay maybe $5,000 and buy the option to buy it for $95,000, because it's $100,000 minus the $5,000. They have the option to buy for $95,000, and basically until they fulfill that contract and cash the seller out, they rent it until they fulfill the option. So, for example, if it's $100,000 home, $5,000 down, option to buy for $95,000, they pay $1,000 a month, and then whenever they cash out, they have the option to buy it for $95,000. So that's basically what it is.
Like when you're looking for properties, let's say you're selling, you just said $1,000. Obviously, this is for example purposes. You're selling a property for $100,000 to somebody. Mm-hmm. You obviously bought it for less than that, because you're in it to make money. Okay. So some I've seen structured in $5,000 down, as you said. Mm-hmm. So you're saying $1,000 a month rent. So are you taking a portion of that and setting it aside for them at the end of their option, that they can use that as a down payment on the loan to purchase the property? Do you structure yours that way?
If I take their money, well, you can give them if the $5,000, it goes toward the purchase price. So if it's $100,000, $5,000, goes to $95,000. If they pay monthly, it's just rent.
Okay.
You can give a portion of it. You can say, I'm going to give you $100 a month credit toward the purchase, and that's okay too. But I guess the basic thing is when I use it as a strategy, let's just say that I buy a home, and let's just use $100,000 for easy math.
Right.
I'm like $200-300 right now, but $100,000 home, you're going to pay 20% down to buy the home. So you pay $20,000, you get a loan for $80,000. I would shoot usually to find someone to lease option, like pay me an option fee of $20,000. So let me use a real example, actually. So we bought a home for $200,000 flat recently, and we were able to get with creative financing. So we paid, I think, $5,000 or $6,000 down, then closing costs. I was in it for $10,000. So I paid $10,000 at closing, got the home, and we owe $195,000. But the thing is while it was under contract, before I did close, I was already advertising it to someone to say, hey, look, if you'd like to rent to own or lease with the option to buy, we sold it for $250,000, and we got someone to give us $25,000 down. There's 25 or 30, but yes, and then we take that off the purchase price. So if they're at $250,000 minus 20, let's just say they have the option to buy it for $230,000. We are at $195,000. You said, and so we have the spread. Plus, my payment, I think, is $1,100 a month. their payment to us is $1,950. So
you're paying the mortgage out of that, and obviously insurance and everything inclusive to that.
Yes,
and
sir.
then the rest of it is your passive income going into your.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So as a realtor, I got to ask, and for other people that may be watching, so somebody that's got $25,000 to put down, why wouldn't they just go the traditional way and just purchase a home if they can put that much down on a property? Why would they take the lease option purchase route?
Oh, you mean for the buyer side?
For the buyer, yeah.
Okay, so what is actually crazy is 16 to 18% of Americans, that's all that can buy a home through a bank. Most of the banks won't give a loan to the majority of the people, sadly. And it's usually not because, and that means like 82% of Americans, it's not because they're not quality people. It's just they're not qualified right now. It could be because they're self-employed, they had a medical expense, something happened, or they don't have enough credit, whatever the reason. So what I'm doing is I'm giving that person, if they put $25,000 down and they're leasing it right now, I'm giving them 3 to 5 years to get what needs to get fixed, whatever reason that's on their credit. And it helps the bank because the bank's saying, okay, this person paid $25,000 down and they've handled this loan for 2 to 3 years, or this lease for 2 to 3 years. They have a little bit of equitable interest in the property due to the down payment and the fact that they've repaired the property, because our tenant buyers repair and maintain the property just like their own. They can do whatever they want. It's their home in my case. Then, of course, on our side, we have credit repair people and just like credit professionals that can discuss with them to help them get the loan after 3 to 5 years or sooner if possible.
And that's what I was going to ask you, is if you offer some services to help them get to that point. Because obviously your goal is to help people get in home. Yes, you want to make money, but you're trying to help people be homeowners.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, just so you know, I buy that same way too. So for example, if a seller has a home and some people don't want a seller finance, or they may have a loan on their home and they don't want you to buy it what they call subject to or take over their loan or anything. So I understand that. So I'll say, well, look, you want $200,000 for your home. Can I lease it from you and have the option to buy it and just give me 2 or 3 years to cash you out? I'll do repairs, maintenance. I'm not going to be your typical tenant that is calling you because the toilet, needs to be fixed.
Right.
So I'll rent the home. But the thing is, I'll sublease it to another tenant buyer. But what that does also is the same thing that I do for my buyers, is it gives me time to prove to the bank, look, I've got this property. Here's how much equity I put into it. Here's all the repairs. And look how long I've had. It gives me a time frame.
Right.
Then I can go to the bank and they'll basically count it as a refinance instead of a purchase. So it's easier to refinance a property than purchase up front, right?
Right.
So that's kind of
I've thought about that, and I've reviewed some of that, like you were saying, how you actually buy from somebody and sublease it to somebody else. Now, how do you overcome, let's say the person that you're leasing it from, they still owe a mortgage. How can you ensure yourself that they're not taking what you're paying them and not paying their mortgage? Do you do a wraparound mortgage or anything like that?
No, when I buy, I never do a wraparound. When I sell, I'll do a wraparound. If an investor's wanting to do a wraparound with you, that hurts your term. That means you're technically losing money, So, and plus that's not a lease option. So if I'm leasing it, I mean, I tell them, I say, what is your monthly payment? For example, their monthly payment is $800 a month. I usually ask this in my negotiation. Can I lease the property from you and then cash you out later? How about this? May I cover your monthly payment until I fix the home and get it to the point where I can cash you out? So that's a way for me to be able to pay basically what they're paying, take that weight off of them. And it depends on the seller at the time, but I pay it directly to the bank usually. Or you can use a third-party servicing company if you're doing what I think you were talking about, like a wraparound. Or
right. Well, that was just how some of it was explained to me, because I was like, well, okay, well, couldn't I just, let's say I'm selling a house to you, but I still owe $80,000 on it. And you start leasing it from me, but and you're paying me, but I'm not paying my mortgage.
Exactly. I pay it directly to that bank on their behalf and send them a receipt. Or you can use a third-party servicing company to do that.
And it's all, a mutual agreement, it's
Yes, sir.
obviously written out. And
Yeah, and I just tell the seller the honest truth. I say, hey, you don't want to collect the payment from me and make sure I'm paying it. And honestly, just to protect me, I need to make sure that the mortgage is getting paid. So we use a third-party service. And I think it's like $25 or something like that, and they pay it and handle all of that for them and me. Keeps us both safe.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
So, let's go. We already talked about what all you invest in. So, if you can, what is the way you operate? What is your business model? What is your goal in your business? Obviously, you got more than one, but Shane So's business, it's in your mind. Even though you might have different LLCs or S corps out there, what is your business model?
It depends on the asset that I'm going into. So personally, when I do real estate, single family, I'm trying to grow to 1,000 homes. There's a great investor named Sharif Medawar, and he gave me that goal. I said, I'm going to get 1,000 single family. I'm doing a lot of it creatively, or most of it actually, because if I don't have to use a bank or my own money, I'd rather creatively do it that helps the seller and me, and I give a chance to a buyer to become a homeowner. I just like the way that feels. I've helped veterans, I've helped elderly people, I've helped young people that are just getting their first home. I've been able to help people get into their first home. So I enjoy I get to profit. I feel like it's good for the seller and the buyer. As far as commercial, I want to do triple net lease conversions. So basically either buying raw land or buying old commercial properties and then moving triple net lease tenants into them, like Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, just.
So that's what I was fixing to ask you, because to explain what that means, because a lot of the people that watch this, they may not know this terminology that we're using. So explain what that means.
So a triple net lease tenant means that the tenant is usually like Starbucks. For example, if I had a plot of land, I would either build them for Starbucks. Starbucks would come in and they pay the taxes, the insurance, the repairs, the maintenance. They literally just send me a net check. So triple net lease, that's basically what it is. Okay. So it's a lot less headache, as to have that type of tenant. And because of the lease, it improves, and it's commercial, it adds so much value. It's a forced appreciation. For example, if you buy land for $500,000, spend $750,000 to build the building, you're in $1.25 million. When you get a lease, depending on the lease terms, it could make that building worth $3 million. So it gives me instant equity, and the financing is so much easier. The banks they look at your personal credit, but they really don't care about your credit. They're worried. They concentrate more on the credibility of your tenant, which is a corporate person like Starbucks. They're traded on the stock market, so they're based on the credibility of that. Plus, if I died or failed, the bank's going to get that asset because they have a UCC1 against the lease agreement, so they feel protected. So it's so much easier to get those leases too. So I guess that's basically what I'm trying to get into more.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I've noticed throughout our conversation so far, and I wanted to bring it up so everybody else can understand too. You've mentioned bank each time you were talking about funding is bank. So is that your only source of funds, is using a bank, or do you use any hard money lenders, angel investors, or anything like that?
No, I don't use any angel investors. I don't use. I've never used a hard money lender. I am a hard money lender. So, for example, if someone has a deal and they can't fund it all the way, as long as they meet my criteria, I'll loan my money to them. Of course, I get a first lien position against.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. But no, I mainly use banks or creative financing or creative terms, master leases, regular leases, seller financing, wraparound, subject to. I like to buy and sell creatively. Yeah.
Awesome. So we know that you don't operate all this by yourself, because you might be a nerd, as you said, but you can't handle all this. And I get it, because sometimes with what I do, you need other people. So on your team, and you don't have to give me names, but some titles of your team players, your key players, who all do you have on your team that help you throughout your functions of your day?
between me and my two funds, I'm the main person that underwrites everything. Now, I'm not the first source of contact to the seller or buyer. I have offices in South Georgia, and I have one lady who handles the leasing, the evictions, the collections, and everything, and two or three guys that just know how to maintain property. Lawn care, maintenance guys. Up north, where a lot of my properties are, I just got a new office. So we got a new office. We have a lady that handles all the, phone calls there. We have a lot of Hispanics of this area. So and I speak Spanish, but we have a guy that speaks Spanish to them. And we have 3 to 4 handymen up here and 2 to 3 lawn guys. We have AC guys. And they're just part of the team, really. And also, and that's just people that work directly with us. But of course, we have great attorneys, insurance guys that just understand the real estate, I guess, investor friendly. They understand the strategy and the direction I'm going. So, yeah, so that's basically.
So, obviously, you got to have some, I don't know if it's realtors or anybody else, but you obviously have people searching for the properties. So is that what you're using? Is realtors to do that for you, or
some realtors? Yes, sir. I love when realtors bring me deals. Honestly,
so you don't have to name drop anybody.
Yeah.
But
oh no! I'll name them if you want to, but
no.
Yeah, but yeah, I love it when realtors, the agents, brokers, if they'll bring me, I want them to overwhelm me with deals. Honestly, I like it because then that's another opportunity for me. So I have lots of agents from Florida to Georgia, Tennessee. They always bring me deals, and I'll look at every single one of them. If I like it, then I'll say, hey, ask this, ask that, put this offer. I put 50 to 60 offers every Friday, to be honest with you, through agents. And then as far as in-house, we have guys that'll contact some of the specific buildings that I see. They may not even be on the market. I just say, I like that building or this land. Let's contact them and see. So my guys will go talk there, do the initial contact, see what if they're open to selling or doing anything. And then if they are, then I'll come in at the end for the last negotiation. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I don't want to I know you mentioned that you do funding and you are a type of hard market lender. I don't want to get into that just yet. Right. But we went over your team. So, as far as, and you did say that you get your funds, if you have to use other people's funds, it's the bank. So when you first started, let's go back to that first property, that $45,000 that you purchased that property for, where was that funding? Where did that funding come from?
Okay, so I didn't have but maybe $5,000-$6,000. I mean, don't forget, I was just owning Taekwondo schools. You know what I mean? And
I know where you came from.
Yeah, So, and and honestly, that is actually I love teaching Taekwondo and being around children and meeting. I love that. That's just all I enjoy to do. And then so I didn't really have too much, to be honest with you. I had $6,000. I reached out to a best friend of mine from high school. I said, hey man, let's do this deal. He put up the money and I did all the work. So basically, that was more like a joint or partner thing. So that's so when I say that I did it, I said we made, right? Because him and me together did this together. He just didn't touch it. He just used his money. He put 45. I used the 20, 30 in credit cards, bought it, and then we made 50 to 60, and we got to split that 50-50. So right. I guess I ended with around 30-ish or so.
And it's good that you actually got to split 50-50 because
usually they don't do that.
He could have asked for a little more because it was his funds, and that's okay if somebody's helping you to start. That's the price you pay to get your foot in the door to get started.
Absolutely, yeah. And he was the best friends. Oh man. I think we met when we were 15, 16 years old. We kind of went through high school together. So we were just best buddies. And he had moved far away. So he knew I was putting in more of the time, I guess. So
right.
I was lucky on
that. In the legwork.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I said that to lead into this. So obviously not everybody has a friend or family member that has the extra funds to invest with you or anybody. So could you explain to us what's the best way for somebody that has no funding and not really a great credit score because, even hard money lenders, they want you to have that, decent credit score. Where can they get funding or assistance to get started in real estate investing?
So actually, let me go back to my story. So I borrowed that money from him, 45,000, and I bought it, like we said, in January. We sold it in August. During that entire time, I was terrified. We was dealing with contractors, and I was like, man, my buddy who sold us the home, the realtor, he said, if you buy it for 45, you're going to put 30 in it. You're probably going to sell it for 90, which we ended up selling for like 124 or 129 or something. Which
hit that market just right.
Yeah, way more than what we thought. But in the middle of it, I'd say it's probably around May-ish or so, I said, wait a minute, when we sell this, if we sell this, because I was terrified, I'm going to only make 20, 30 grand, and then I got to pay taxes, which is like 20% or so in Georgia.
28, yeah, that's what I figured. 28.
There you go. Yeah, and man, I'm going to end with way less. So I think it was like May or so, I started studying online on YouTube. Some of these older guys, their videos are the most unprofessional videos I've ever seen too, by the way. They wasn't all flashy, but they explain creative financing, owner financing, leasing a property with the option to buy, then you can sublease it to someone else and collect another option. And it kind of clicked and made sense, but I didn't know what documents to use. I mean, that's not, I don't think that's in the GAR forms or something.
Right,
yeah, right. So
that we have them, we have some, but and like I have my attorney that used that as a template, but has created it for my situation.
Oh, perfect.
For whatever I'm wanting to do with
yes.
Well, continue on.
Yeah, so in May, that's when I started studying. Well, we sold the property in August, and the day we closed, I started trying my own system by calling all these old landlords, calling houses for sale by owner. I would even call houses that were for rent. If they were for rent, I'd call them. I said, if they're willing to rent you the property, they're probably willing to owner finance you the property. So I just kind of went crazy, honestly, and just reaching out. And from August to that December, I ended with 60 properties, 60 in my first single family. So I'm very strongly going to kind of like advise people. I mean, like I said, that's what worked for me. I'm not telling anyone what to do. This is just what I did, right? So I just said, from August to December, I called old landlords, guys that had properties, and I just said, hey, look, you have 10 properties or 10 single family. I'm a young guy. I'm trying to catch up with you. This is my idea. Let me buy them like this. I'll do repairs, maintenance. You become the bank. You don't have to be the landlord who's on the bottom of the totem pole. Let me put you at the top and be the bank. I'll pay you this with this interest rate. And I got a lot of people to accept. And that was my first year. So it was kind of a crazy year. And
so let me pause you for just a second. So let's say one of those that you called that was renting, they were wanting to rent the property.
Yes.
So how did you structure that? We'll summarize it, but how did you structure it to where, let's say I have a property for rent and you're wanting to rent it for me. So what was that conversation like to them? Like, so your goal was obviously to rent it for me, but I'll sublease it to somebody else.
That's if I did the lease option from you. So there's two things that I would do. I would call you and say, hello, sir, I'm interested in your home. Can you tell me a little bit about it? You say, yeah, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And it's got, it's close to the schools. You'll tell me your spiel. That's usually what the seller does. And I said, okay, great. Well, let me ask you a question. If I came in and rented the home, and I see you're asking $1,000 a month, and I'm renting it for 3-4 years, what happens if I decide I want to buy it? How about if I want it to be my forever home? And he'll say, well, I mean, I'd be interested. And I said, well, do you think that you'd be willing to sell it to me if me and my family, or if I like to keep it, would you be willing to sell it? He said, you know what? Yeah, I might be willing to do that. I said, well, how much would you want for that if you did sell? I know you don't want to sell now, but if you did. And then he'd go, well, I think and then he would tell me his price. Right. So then I know they're open to selling.
So, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, then, of course, the more times you talk to them, while you go look at the home, do that in person, of course. Just say, actually, it sounded, I know you're willing to rent it to me, but would you be willing to just sell it to me? And he said, well, I might be willing. Or he may say no, If he says no, I say, great, that's fine. I'd rent it and I get an option to buy. And then that's when I sublease it with the option. And I tell them straight, I'm very honest. You be honest with the seller, or the landlord at that point. Is what I do is I'm an investor. We lease it with an option to buy. We place, and then I explain what I'm doing, and
Right.
and I'm doing repairs and maintenance. Another thing I would do, and I don't know why I'm saying this because you're just wanting a quick detail, but I'm just telling you a little
That's
detail.
fine.
That's good. Is let's just say that you're the homeowner and you rent for $1,000 a month, and you've already told me, yeah, maybe you could buy it after maybe 5 years or 3 years, or I might be willing. You say $150,000. So I know you want $1,000 a month and $150,000, and then I'll usually say something like that. I say, you're renting it for $1,000 a month. That's because you have to do repairs, maintenance. You got vacancy and all of that, correct? And they said, yes. I said, well, if I take responsibility for the repairs, the maintenance, would you be willing to take 800? And I'll be honest, 90% of the time, they're like, yeah, if you'll do the repairs, the maintenance, I'll do it. Now I have the lease payment at 800. I know I can at least rent it to someone else for $1,000 or $1,100. And since I lease optioned it to the new buyer, in that option agreement, not the lease, but in the option agreement that I give the new tenant buyer, they're responsible for those repairs and maintenance. So, I'm basically, so in that position, I'm checking to make sure my tenant buyer is maintaining the property. So hence the reason I still have guys that go and inspect the properties, 3-4 times a year, because if the tenant buyer is responsible for the property and there's a roof leak, they don't have the money, they'll just let it keep going.
Right. And ultimately it falls back on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, I'm invested in the property, so I don't want it to ruin. But that's
Right.
how we do it. Yes, sir.
So going back to the initial question, so obviously that's how you kind of operate now. So for somebody that doesn't know really anything except, man, I see all these other people getting wealthy, I want to get started, and they don't have the funding to, let's say, pay the $1,000 a month rent or whatever. And obviously there would be a security deposit for somebody. Like if I'm renting the property and you're renting it from me, I'm going to want a security deposit from you, and then whatever we agree on the monthly rent. Where could somebody get financial help with a not so great? Let's say they got a 650 or 680 or something credit score, and but they want to get started. Where can they get help to get started? I know for your situation, you had, everybody's situation is a little bit different, but my goal is to try to help people out here watching.
Absolutely. So if there's anyone out there listening to this is what I'm saying is you need to try and do it creatively. You don't have to go out and find money in a loan. I think you can negotiate with the seller. That's really what I'm saying. So let's use that example. Go back to that lease option. If the seller agrees to go ahead and sell it, and they say they want $10,000 down, now you have zero in the bank, but they say, I'll let you pay me $10,000 down, and yes, I will take $700 a month. Now you have zero money. How are you going to close on that? Because you got closing costs on top of it.
Right.
You don't have a penny. What you do is you find a great realtor like you, sir, Mr. David here, and you put it under contract. That's what you do. You put it under contract. And then by law, you can actually market that property as a lease option during the 30 days or the 60 days. I was
going to ask you, do you do 30 or do you do 45, 60?
I'll try and go to 90. I'd say, look, can I, have due diligence for 30 days, and then I need 30 days to close out. Like I try and extend it as long as possible. During that time, while I'm advertising, I'll find someone to give me 20. But let's keep it really bad. Okay, so let's just say with the owner, I want 10 grand down. I want $700 a month. If I only find someone that can give me maybe $12,000 or $11,000 down, I say, good, get it, because I'm using that money to pay the seller, make him happy, and now I have a payment of $700. My tenant may be paying me $1,500, and I will negotiate with the realtor. Sometimes I say, can I pay you? I'll pay your commission for you monthly, since the owner's not, or it could be put on the owner. It just depends on your terms. Here's the
Right.
thing: that if you can't find another person to come in and, as a tenant buyer, then basically you extend the contract. You call your realtor, Mr. David. He'll try and extend it, or you cancel the agreement. There's no harm, no foul. That's the thing. So I'm a very strong advocate that you put something under contract. If you don't have someone lined up for it, don't close. Even if you had all the money in the world. I just mean that. Most of the billionaires that I know that do the triple net lease bills I was talking about, like Starbucks, they'll find a piece of property where it's perfect prime location. Like it's in between a Chick-fil-A and a McDonald's, and they're like, man, this Starbucks would be perfect here. They will put a contract on that land, have refundable earnest money. They will not close on that until they have all the permits in hand and have a triple net lease tenant lined up. Then they close. If they don't, they cancel it. That's because, so whatever the billionaires are doing, that's what we should do. So that's just kind of really, it's not because I'm smart, it's because I'm rip off and duplicate what the billionaires are doing. So that's my advice. Now, if you want to go to the traditional way with cash, then yeah, any hard money lender, you can find if you can't have an uncle or friend, reach out to the hard money lenders and just kind of talk to them, negotiate. They're just usually normal people that are just wanting to lend their money out. And that's a different negotiations, and probably good for another video, actually. But yeah, that's
right. And I will be more than happy to have you back on.
I love that. I love nerding out like this.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for just a second. Hard money lenders, because you brought it up. Well, every lender is going to be different. Their terms are going to be slightly different because it's their money. Mm-hmm. So because you're a hard money lender, and we're going to get into what you do, your funding in just a moment. But as far as generally speaking, what is the lowest credit score that hard money lenders are willing to work with, and what's the range of interest on the money?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, most hard money lenders do not care about your credit score. When they look at your credit score, they're looking for bankruptcies and the reasons why. Because let me tell you something. Let's just say, for example, actually, here's a real one. Okay, my mom's a hard money lender. Okay, there was a young boy that wanted $80,000. The property is worth $200,000. He said, "Can you give me this $80,000?" My mom. Now, here's the thing: if the boy does not make the payment, my mom gets $200,000 property
for
$80,000. So that's what the hard money lender is looking at. Plus, they want to know a time frame. And so, for example, me, the most recent one I did, I think the guy, it's a $140,000 home. He needed $100,000. I said, I will charge you 3 points and 12% interest. Means I gave him the $100,000, but he had to pay me $3,000 to do the loan, plus 12% interest only, which equals to $1,000 a month. And I put it at a minimum of 6 months. So even if he cashes me out, this is on the hard money lender side. If he cashes me out in 2 months or 3 months, I still get paid $6,000 basically. So 3 at the front, 6 there, that's 9. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I can give him 100,000 out, I'm making 9. That's a pretty good return on my money. And
in 6 months' time, absolutely.
In 6 months' time, yes, sir. And he may even do it sooner, but at least that's pretty good for me. Now, it sounds all good. If you're a person out there wanting to be a hard money lender, you're like, oh wow, that sounds like 9. If you can do 2 of those, you're making 18 grand, 18% on your money. All said and done, it's hard to be a hard money lender too, because depending on how many, eventually someone's not going to pay. By the time you go through all the court fees and you do everything, it doesn't end at 15 to 18%. It usually ends around 8 or 9%. That's where we usually, to make it safe. That's with me charging 12%. So
I have a friend who, and I won't mention names or anything like that, but I have a friend who he is a hard money broker.
Broker. Okay,
he's a broker. So if you were to do business with him, he's going to shop to find the best hard money lender that's best suited for the person he's dealing with. Now, obviously, he's going to make his percentage off of everything, and that's all broken down. But the reason why I bring it up is so they want bank statements And that's why I asked you those other questions to start with. They want to see bank statements, and they do want to see
A credit.
your credit
Yeah.
score. Yeah,
That's because he's
it's not a big thing, but they do want to, it's like a social security number. People can see how you spend money,
how you perform.
So
No,
they
you're absolutely right. Yeah, a mortgage broker. Because they have their license, and by their laws, they have to have it. Like, yeah,
Right.
I agree with that. I'm just saying though that
right. See, like he would. Let's say you were a part of his bank of people that he would deal with. Say I wanted to borrow money, I would call him up and say, hey, I'm wanting to buy this property for blah blah blah. And he'll say, okay, I'm going to shop around and find the best one for you. Oh, well, Shane, so he's the one that best fits you. So in his world, not saying you do now, but you would have your criteria. Okay, I have to see their bank statements. I need to see the credit report, and then of course, last time I talked with him about a deal, it was 10 to 12% interest on the loan. And then for first time customers, for the first 2 or 3 transactions, it would be 20 to 25% down. And then after you've established good business, with those lenders, then you could get them for 10% down.
That's right.
Because obviously they know how you operate, they know you're good for it, and you're going to keep coming back. But that's kind of in a nutshell of how he operates. But I was curious as far as, let's say I wanted to buy some property, and I'm like, Shane, help me out. You wouldn't necessarily want to, or let me back up. If I were, what would you require of me? So if there's people out here that's like, oh, I might be wanting to do this, and I'm hearing this guy Shane.
Oh, yeah.
So what would your criteria? What would John Q. Public's criteria? What would they need to meet for you to loan them money?
Yeah. So number one, I would definitely want their credit report. Like I said, I just want to make sure there's no bankruptcy on it, because that's the headache. I mean, you know what I mean? I specifically asked for the credit report. I want an appraisal and an ARV appraisal, which is an after repair appraisal. So I kind of know what I'm getting into, right? I want lender's title insurance. So I talk directly with their attorney or escrow company.
Now, are we talking about fix and flip properties?
Fix and flips. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It depends on the person and the deal. If it's just an amazing deal, I'll do 80%, 90%, sometimes 70%. It just really depends. Like I said, my mom, she lended $80,000 on a $200,000, and there's points and things I just didn't throw them out there. But so another thing that I would do is I want to be first, like lost pay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I want to be lost pay on the insurance. I want to be first lien position. I don't do second lien. And I asked something that most hard lenders don't, is I want a deed in lieu left in extended escrow. And a deed in lieu means if the person does not make their payment, I don't want to have to go 6 months to a year trying to foreclose on you. As soon as you don't pay after a certain amount of time, as long as you fulfill what you're doing, then you're good. But if you don't, and you just ghost me and not working, at least my attorney.
Do you have like because life happens to some people. Let's say they missed one payment. Now is that boom?
No, definitely. What I'm saying is, if I reach out to you and say, "Hey, man, where's the payment?" and then 2 months later, a month and a half later, you just haven't
heard of them.
You ghost, or honestly, God forbid they pass away. I've had that happen one time. Actually, the guy passed away. I mean, what was I supposed to do? I mean, I don't want to go to his family. His family don't, so. That's all. But so basically, I would definitely not want to loan. I'm going to either loan against 80% loan to value, or on the purchase price, whichever one's the lowest is the one I do the 80%. So, for example, you have a property worth $300,000 and you can buy it for $100,000. I'm going to give you $80,000. Because now, if you need $100,000 to fix it because it's for sale for $300,000, I will loan more money toward the construction, but that's, I keep them kind of separate.
Right.
And that's the correct way I believe to do it.
So do you, because we're talking about fix and flip. So you initially give them the money to purchase the property, in summary. So when it comes to after the repair, do you give it in draws?
In draws. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you got 1, 2, and 3, like if drywall's finished, boom, you give them the money.
Yes, we verify to make sure they did what they said they're going to do, of course. But yes, sir, we do.
So let's talk about your funding.
So basically, I'll be honest with you. When I've had over the last many years, lots of people want to sit down and talk to me. I don't know why, but I'm learning too, but they ask me, Shane, give me advice. We'll sit down, we'll talk, we'll meet 3-4 times. And then I don't hear from them for a year. And then a year later, they call me, hey, Shane, can we have? I say, sure. We'll sit down. And they ask me the same questions, which means they never took any action, which I understand. It's a little intimidating. It took me 5, like I said, I was 25. I was looking at properties. I was getting them under contract, and then I couldn't, I understand. So, and it took me till I was a month before 30. So about 5 years to even finally pull the trigger. But some of the people, it's just, they like the idea of doing real estate investing, but they never do it. So I got to the point where I'm like, do you just want to give it to me and I'll invest your money? Because some people do have capital, So, it's kind of like a new beginner. There's a saying that from this other investor, and I don't remember what his name was, but he said it perfectly. He said, I hope that when you come into real estate investing, you have no money, no credit, and I can teach you knowledge, and now you can start. So you only have knowledge, one out of the 3 things. Then the next thing is you'll have people that have money and knowledge, but they have no credit. So they're limited. Then you have the guy that has credit, no cash, but they have knowledge. But imagine when you have all 3. Thing is, it's just some people, and unfortunately, just have capital, the knowledge. They don't have the guts, but so they just never pull the trigger. So I created funds to pay 6% or 8%. So I have one fund. It's a 506 Regulation D, and it's a B fund. Means friends, family, people that I know that I have a relationship with, they can put it in there. I can have 35 unaccredited investors. But the one that I did was an open fund. It's a 506 Reg D C fund. Means you have to be an accredited investor. You have to make $200,000 a year or more, or have a net worth of $1 million. That doesn't include your personal residence. Those people can give me their capital. For example, we had a guy give us $1 million. We pay him $80,000 a year. And then when he wants his money back, according to the documents that we have, he gets his full $1 million back. And so that's just his way to invest. And it's at least on something tangible, because like you just mentioned, hard money lending. If you have a house and I give you $100,000, I'm protected by that one property, right? In my fund, if someone wanted to give me money, they're protected not on one property, but all the properties within the fund. And in today's time, stocks and all that, all this crypto, so it's so unstable and you can't touch it. At least this is like, I'm trying to reduce the risk for the investor. So I created those funds. So it's a real estate fund. So that's what it is. And then out of the fund, we are constantly buying properties and adding to the fund, and paying out investors and stuff like that. And we don't charge any fees, because a lot of funds usually charge like 1% fee, 2% fee per year. And we have no fees. We're more of we make money from what we make beyond what we pay out the investors. So if we're paying someone 8%, we're shooting to make 10% on that property, or 12%. So we can make that spread. That's how I make capital. Yes, sir.
So as we're starting to wrap this up, I got to ask you, what is your life motto? What do you live by? Do you have a quote or anything that you live by?
I have lots of little things, because I'm a nerd, completely, basically. So for investors, I would say a good investor is always learning. So I like them. That's what I believe.
Learning, that would be good.
Yeah, never stop learning. And then the other thing is it's not really a model, but just kind of my inner belief. I believe that anything you do, you got to be able to give value to other people. So, for example, I'm starting to do my personal branding. I want to teach this. I believe everyone can do this. If a karate teacher from the South can kind of get into real estate and do this, after talking to me for a while, you realize this boy really ain't that smart, but look what he's doing, kind of thing. I believe anyone can do it, and I just feel like anytime that you find a way of something special like this to make money or change lives, why not share that with other people? And it kind of spreads. So that's just me.
All right. So I'll leave you with this question here, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody.
Awesome.
So what is, and you kind of said it, but if you can make, let's see how I would word it. What is the best single advice that you would tell somebody that's like, I want to get started, I want to get wealthy, but as you said, I'm intimidated, I'm scared. You know, they're standing on the ledge and they want to, but they don't want to make that leap. What would you say to them?
It'd be like anything, just trying to meet a girl or getting married or anything. Is you got to have that little bit of courage just for a few seconds sometime, and you got to just do it. Grant Cardone said it to me best, and he repeated it. I've heard him say it on YouTube many times, but I met with him last week, and he told it to my face, which I thought was good. You got to do things that scare you, that change your life. So you just got to do it. And as far as to do it safely, make sure you learn, try and find like-minded people, get an idea, and then just go for it. Just go for it. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you. Yeah.
Absolutely. I actually have right here in front of me a quote, Grant Cardone. I actually have 4 of them on my, but it says, hustle until you don't have to hustle anymore. Then keep hustling so you can help people that are struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And Grant's a great guy. He was super nice, super smart. And he's definitely a veteran. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So I appreciate you coming on today, and I hope that we brought some value to the people that's been paying attention and watching. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Shane, thanks for being here. Tell everybody bye. And
bye-bye, you guys.
And I will have you back on soon, and we'll get into some other stuff. So again, thanks for being with me tonight.
All right, thank you, sir. I see you guys.
All right, that was Shane So, the real estate mogul, who actually, as you heard tonight, that it really didn't take him very long, just maybe 6 to 7 years to become from what he was to what he is now, and just very successful using simple methods that if you apply, you too can have great success in real estate investing. And please stay tuned, because we will be having him back on to talk more about real estate investing and get into some other subjects a little deeper. So yeah, thank you for staying with us to the end. And as always, if you are watching this through YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. Let's let this channel grow so it reaches a lot more people. And also go back to some of the previous videos and make sure you like and subscribe to those so you can catch up on all the content that we're giving you. So until next time, folks,